There we go. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight. I'm excited to share with you some things. For those of you, a few might have listened or popped on, I did a webinar the Sunday before Thanksgiving that was kind of about creating a self-care plan for the season. And then we were chatting about for you guys what to do. And I was going to just teach it in the group live and thought, no, let's just do it for our Challenger Zoom. So if you didn't already, you don't need it for tonight, but you will need it. I mean, if you have it tonight, it's good. But I made a worksheet. So if you didn't print it, I would get a piece of paper out and then take some time tomorrow to work through the worksheet. It's easy to do and it's easy not to do, you know what I mean? But I'm learning that when I don't take the time to write down things and really process them, I'm not as committed. And so I really would love, especially as you guys head into a new month, to make sure you're always taking time to write down goals and whatnot. And so this is the worksheet is what I made for tonight. So I wanted to talk a little bit about 5 areas to set intention and plan so you can have a blessed season. You know, I don't know about you guys, but like yesterday, so what's today? Monday. Yesterday, I already felt behind. Like it was the first day of Advent and I literally felt behind. I saw people talking about how they like did all their Christmas shopping somewhere and I was like, hadn't even started. You know, we had to figure out where the elf was so he could make an appearance. And the tree came out like Saturday, but the lights didn't work. So I had to go get a new one. And I had to put away all the fall decorations and Thanksgiving decorations. And my friend and her children came for Thanksgiving. And so we were cleaning up from a house full of kids, which was awesome. And I just felt behind. And I finished 30-day breakaway. So then I was like, what am I supposed to do for a workout? Because I don't know about you guys, but if I don't have a calendar to follow, I'm inconsistent, you know? And I just started to feel like, what's the plan? What's the plan? What's the plan? And then in addition to that with nutrition, I didn't do horrible for Thanksgiving, but I definitely had some fun, you know? And so then I was like, this all or nothing mindset. And I talked briefly about this in our challenge group today, but you're not starting over today. So this season plan we're making is not like so many times I hear people say, and it's a good analogy, I'm drawing a line in the sand and starting new. But ultimately on your race, you should have hundreds of lines in the sand that are like mile markers, not do-overs. Like if we constantly say we're starting over, then we think we're stuck at the same start line. And the truth is you're not. As you head into this holiday season with Christmas and Advent and whatever other things you might celebrate, you're farther ahead this year than you were last year. You're further ahead today than you were at the beginning of November. You're further ahead today than you were yesterday. And so I don't want you to create a plan based on perfection or stress. And so the first thing I want you to do before we talk about what to do is at the very top of the worksheet, it says, Lord, help me to be. I want you to write right now 2 or 3 words or intentions of who you want to feel and be during this holiday and beyond. I've been watching too much Toy Story because I just heard Buzz Lightyear in my head. Sorry. For me, I always say peaceful and joyful and present. But this morning, the word gentleness was placed on my heart because I'm not very gentle when I'm stressed. And so take a moment, and if you want to share in the chat before you decide what to do, who do you want to be? I'll give you guys a minute. I like that. Peaceful, happy, present, peaceful, understanding. Invested. You give up. Don't give up. The typo. Present, peaceful, loving. I love that. Flexible. I like that. That's really good. That's really, really good. Stronger, more positive, present. These are good. So what I want to encourage you to do in the morning, this was something that my therapist taught me like 2 years ago to start doing. And I would say I'm at an 80% of doing it, not 100. When you sit up in bed in the morning, when your feet hit the floor before you stand up, you take a deep breath, you just listen to the quiet, and you say, Lord, help me today be, and then name whatever those words are. It's like a way of setting your intention. And if you can, this is something that I'm wanting to do more of now. Yes, before you run to the crying baby, repeat it throughout the day. I have a lot of quotes hanging up around my house and word art, and a lot of it has to do with peace, because that's kind of my most important word. But this past year it was joy. So there's a lot of that. So I'm constantly reminded. But setting that intention, it's kind of like an affirmation and a prayer together, because he's put those words on your heart. And so it's important for you to speak that truth before you rush, so you don't rush into the day without setting an intention. So that's step number 1. Self-care is the whole person. I mean, we've talked about this before, but I just want to, share that the purpose of you joining this challenge group is to gain confidence in who you're created to be. It's not, maybe that comes through you achieving a weight loss goal or a run goal, running a 5K, or overcoming emotional eating and having food freedom, feeling comfortable in your skin. Those are all great goals. But the truth is that when you reach those goals from a place of self-care and like real authentic, like self-care, it's because you start to see your value and you don't feel less than, not enough, burned out, overwhelmed, incapable. And that's when we take time for working out and for eating healthy and for taking time to journal or to pray or to read, the goal is to have that confidence of I am loved and I'm worthy of living my life as peaceful, calm, consistent, loving, flexible, stronger, present. You get to be that person because it's who you're created to be, and you believe that's who you're created to be. Because too often in our healthcare journey, a lot of us, maybe, I know I did, set out to fix myself versus to heal and get stronger. And so it's important for us to cover several areas of our life, not just what workout program are you doing, which is important, what nutrition plan are you following, which is also important. But we also have to take care of the inside, our mind, our soul, and our need for connection. And so we're going to talk about each of those areas tonight. So look at my notes, Russell. The first area is ponder. Taking time, especially for us that celebrate Advent, and if you don't, for anyone who's of the faith, like to take time to be with the Lord every day, to take time to pray with scripture, to take time to 15 minutes, read a devotional. Jesus Calling is an amazing one. Something simple that speaks to you. To take time to think about and let the Lord kind of guide your thoughts and think about what he wants for you in the day and start your day with him, which might mean getting up 15 minutes early. It doesn't have to be half an hour or an hour. It can start with 15 minutes. It can start with 5. You could sit up and have your devotional by your bed and take that time. But it's like you're inhaling like fresh air and starting your day with a fresh start. And so I was in a spiritual mentoring group a few weeks ago, and I might have already shared this, so if I have, forgive me, I'm repeating myself, but we were doing like imaginative prayer where you read a passage from the Bible and you pretend you're in it and like kind of figure out who you are and what's going on. And I was in the passage, I was reflecting on the nativity, and I was in the stable and it was super loud and the animals were like making all this noise and it smelled bad. And I'm allergic to like all animals and hay. So I was kind of like having a hard time, uncomfortable, but right before me was the baby Jesus. And in my imagining, Mary picked him up and put him in my arms and said, hold the baby. And I was holding him, and here I am holding Jesus. And all I could think about was, I need to put him down so I can go hush the cow. I need to put him down so I can go pick up over there by the sheep. I need to put him down. Like, I was so distracted by the to-do list of things that I honestly in real life don't even know what I would do, and then I would feel bad. I don't want to put him down, but I need to put him down. And I looked up and she just said to me, just hold the baby. And I feel like for each of us, taking the first 15 minutes to just imagine and hold the baby, even if you just reflected on the infancy narrative for the entire Advent, it could be the same passage. In our challenge group, I wrote a devotional. I'm just doing one a week. And this week was on Zechariah, when the angel came and told him that Elizabeth was going to have a baby and he didn't believe him. And so the angel said, well, you are, and then he couldn't talk. And I just talked about reflecting on what it would be like if we couldn't talk and all we could do is listen. And that one passage is what I want to focus on for the whole week, right? So what if we gave the first 15 minutes of our day to just refresh ourselves? And I love the image of a baby because, I mean, I like to sniff babies' heads. They're like fuzzy and they have this smell, like babies smell so good, like, and it just is peaceful. There's something so peaceful about it. But as we're so driven to rush into the day, if you could give 15 minutes, I'm not even talking about journaling. I mean, reading, sitting, and thinking. That's it. So what I want you to do when you do this is to think, what are 3 things you can do in the first 15 minutes of your day? And I'm going to give you a little guidance. I think one of the things should be something that sets the tone. Like maybe you could light a candle or have a special chair that you're going to sit in, or have a picture of, or a nativity scene, or like a picture in front of you that you're going to look at so that your eyes are focused. The second thing I would say is, what are you going to pray with? And then the third thing is to think about, like, how do you want to pray? Do you want to journal? Do you want to ponder? Do you want to, like, you decide, but take a moment and write down like 2 or 3 things that you will do in that time. And if you want to share, that would be great, because I think it's so good for us to have suggestions. If you have a devotional you're already using, if you could share that too, because I know we're always open for suggestions of different books and things. So for me, I'm lighting a candle, which helps. I do think it's good to have first thing in the morning, even if it's for 5 minutes, just by yourself with nobody else. And because it gives you time, even if it's to light a candle and take a few moments to read a page of a devotional like Jesus Calling. I think it's important to have that time for you. It's kind of like securing your oxygen mask. Oh man, yeah. So sometimes in my mornings, like, and if anybody wants to offer suggestions, sometimes in my mornings, like if like Eli sometimes gets up super, super early. Once all the kids get out the door and I settle him down with like a cartoon, I'll go in the kitchen and light a candle and pray then. Like, it might not be first thing, but I try on the days that they do sleep to do it first thing. But if like I had a newborn and I was getting up, like I love Elizabeth Foss said, like while you're, holding the baby, or even if your child is like laying next to you and you just got to do it, but I do think it's good to start your day that way in some small way, if that helps. I like this. So baby-proof the room as much as possible. Keep kids' journals in your prayer box so they can write and draw. Oh, that's good. The Rosary on Relevant Radio app every morning. That's good. The God Minute app. Oh, that's good. So many good suggestions here. Your St. Andrew Novena, praying morning prayers. And like I said, even if it's just, it'd be amazing what God can multiply a little bit and just make it so much. So if 15 minutes seems impossible, which some seasons it can be, start with 5. Maybe Emily, like right before you pray while you're drinking your Energize, right before you work out while you're drinking your Energize, you pull out your devotional and read a page of it, and then you can think about it while you're working out. You know what I mean? Just so you have like a focus while you're working out. But yeah, for sure your workout could be a prayer. Or you could even put on a song like to pray with while you're working out, definitely. Definitely you can offer your workout as a prayer. I know for me, mine can be very much so that. Just making sure you're giving your head some space to like just kind of let the Lord in. And like I said, if you start that way and then later on you need to do a little more, you want to do more, like that works too. Like some mornings I have to do that too. Okay, so that was number one, ponder. Number two is to praise. What are some things that you can do about the environment of your home to cultivate gratitude and praise? So this is some suggestions, like having a gratitude journal that sits on the table that you write in throughout the day, and letting your kids be a part of it and your family too. Having a playlist of songs that you listen to that uplift your spirits. Having artwork or things around that remind you that you're important. If there's scriptures that help you with your, just give you peace, like to print them off and stick them to the fridge, post them up on the wall. I have a lot hanging up in my office where I work out. Taking some time of thinking of like what you can do with your family, like what are the things you want to do with your family, very simple, that just give you this kind of praise atmosphere, meaning like where you're just thankful, things that help you to focus on, and that'll cultivate that. Is it writing down one or two things every day that you did really well? Is it taking some time to gratitude journal? Is it having that playlist that uplifts your spirits? Is it taking time to light the candle on the Advent wreath and sing O Come Emmanuel just one time? Like super simple things that just draw you into the season that you're physically doing or seeing around your house throughout the day. So if you want to take a moment, like on the sheet, I said collecting moments and recording them, like so that you have just reminders that things are good, even in the midst of the chaos. So take a moment and write those things down. Oh, I like that, Jennifer. 5 things you appreciate. Oh, I like that, Sarah. Every night, write 5 things I appreciate about my husband, and I leave them up to the next day. I like that. And you're right, Megan. Prayer doesn't have to be another thing. It's just an encounter with God. God knows what's going on in your life, just inviting into it. It's really very true. Oh, that's good, Allison. Listening to the Holy Family Rosary podcast and muting your workout and just working out while you listen. Oh, I love that, Emily. Making a list during the week of the things that represented that week's candle. That's beautiful. I love that. When you had no children, but you could do that again. Have the kids be a part of it. I know what you mean, though. So you take time to ponder, you take time to set an atmosphere of praise where you're collecting moments of goodness, right? Records of right. The third thing is to nourish. What is your health intention? How do you physically want to feel on January 1st? I want you to remove restrictions, rules, shame, all of that jazz. Like take it out. What I'm talking about is, what is the intention of how you want to feel? Because if you were to say like, I want to have good energy and I don't want to feel sore, like for me with inflammation, and I just want to feel like rested or peaceful or like, you know what I mean? Then that means when I'm going to go have my second glass of wine, I can make the decision of whether or not I'm going to be able to sleep more the next day. Because sometimes if I have 2 glasses of wine, I have this, and I don't sleep well. It like interrupts my sleep. And I make the decision. And then if I agree with it, does it align? Do the food choices I'm making every day align with how I want to feel? Is my movement goal the plan I have going to align with my days? If my days are going to be super crazy because all my kids are home, then I probably need to not try to do an hour workout 6 days a week. Right now I'm doing Lift 4 because it's 4 days a week. And I will be okay if some days I have to turn it off at 30 minutes because my son's done with playing, right? I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm not going to say I cheated. I will let myself treat, but if I treat myself every night, I've just created a habit that is not going to help me to my goals. So distinguishing the difference between a treat and a habit, but also not saying cheated or I blew up or I ruined it. No. I love Alana Reels on Instagram, if you're on there, that she talks a lot about like just the language with food. You have to be careful not to shame yourself. Like Angie said, align without shame. Because it's either you learn, or you win. You win, like is that what Maxwell says? Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. There's no losing. But take a moment, and I want you to think of a movement goal, and then 2 other things that have to do with like your nutrition that will help you with how you want to feel. So for me, like I'm focusing on for my food, my focus is dinner and done, because that's a 2B rule that I don't ever follow. And I know that if I stop, that's when I usually go overboard at night. So that's like going to align with my goal. And then water, because I don't get enough water. Simple things. But if I drink 80 ounces of water to 100 ounces of water a day, I feel better. And I'm not going to overeat like I would if I'm not drinking enough water. And then my movement plan is I'm doing Lift 4. So the first 6 weeks of it before the new program comes. So take a moment and write down, think about like your intention, and then make a movement plan and a nutrition plan. Take your supplements. Yes. Add more veggies daily, water goal daily, possibly do 30-day breakaway again. That's awesome. Yes. So sleep goals are good too. They're just as much a part of this. It's nourishing your physical body, right? If you looked at what you're eating is, whether or not it's going to nourish you, and that doesn't mean pie can't nourish you. It can. More consistent with workouts and more veggies. Yeah, and simple, like I'm going to have veggies at breakfast, or bar blend, more water, plan my food even on the weekends. That's really good. Number 4 is to notice. What I mean by notice, on the worksheet, I call it a sacramental pause. So I read a book called, I always call it the wrong book. It's the Catholic Mindfulness, not the Mindful Catholic, Catholic Mindfulness. And honestly, regardless if you're Catholic or whatever denomination you are, it's a good book just on Christian mindfulness and rooted very much in like scripture. And one of the things he talks about is like when you're in the midst of getting overwhelmed, to have times in your day where you take a pause. And so what I want you to plan is 3 areas that you're going to take a pause. And what that means is no screens, no phone, no outside commotion, just present with your kids, with your spouse, and with yourself. Like, what does that look like? Does that mean doing a craft for 20 minutes if you're a crafty mom, or reading books with your kids? And it's not, if you have a million children like I do, my sacramental pause tonight was laying down with Eli and reading him stories before he went to bed. It might be one child that day. That's okay. It doesn't have to be every single person in the house. When my husband gets home, we'll sit on the sofa, no TV, no phones, and just catch up for 20 minutes when the kids are in bed. It doesn't have to be a date night every night. That'd be great if you can plan one once a week. And then myself, during the day today, I was walking around at one point and I was like, I'm a doer. And I'm like, I'm going to sit, I'm going to read. So I just sat and read for a few minutes, like in the middle of the day, because I didn't have to drive carpool today. So take a moment and think, what are some things for your kids, for your spouse, and for you, where you're not carrying this around and you're not in front of a TV, even though Christmas movies are great, there's something really cool that happens when we turn the TV off and we sit with our kid for a while and we have to look at each other. You know, they might open up and chat about something, they might not, but it's those awkward moments that turn into blessed moments. And I think in the midst of, and maybe it'll be different this year because of COVID, we might not have as many events we have to rush to and parties, but still there's lots to do. And so when can you take a break from the to-do list, and what are the things you want to do? Because noticing in one another in the home, that gives you that connection that you need in your house. So take a moment and write those things down. Oh, I like that. Hanging out with your young adult kids after dinner. Oh yeah, taking a break in the chapel. That's a blessing. I like how Angie has weekly date nights where she takes a kid. They rotate. And she takes naps. Lighting your yes, your advent calendar. Wait, you light the calendar? Not the wreath?
We have an advent calendar where you light it every day for the St. Andrew novena. You light a candle every night, and then at the end there's like a little manger. We also light our advent wreath, but yes.
I was thinking like the chocolate calendar.
Like chocolate really crispy. So yes.
Hot chocolate. Like catch it in the mug. That's awesome. Oh, I like that. Jen, that's sweet. And this one might be hard. Like you might have to set an alarm on your phone that says, turn me off and go hang out with a kid. Like you might have to, and that's okay. You know, self-care and self-soothing. It's good to have a happy balance. Self-care is doing the things that better us, but their work, like eating well, exercise, and challenging PD book. And self-soothing is things that get your mind off things, finding things to do as a family that soothes, that y'all could be really peaceful for a family. Yes. So for me, like knitting, actually, I enjoy it, but I just never have time because I always have something or someone in my hand. So to me, sitting and knitting for a few minutes every day, I feel like it's self-soothing versus I noticed when my kids got home today, I was like scrolling because I got overwhelmed, you know, and I wasn't as present. Oh, that's really cool, Sarah. Repeat saying your vows at night. That's special. And taking a minute to say the people we're praying for or after. And this is not, please don't, like, as you guys read through these things, just be inspired and then choose what's best for you. Like for me, it was reading 3 short board books to my 3-year-old today. You know what I mean? And then tomorrow I might have the muster up the patience to do the painting crafts I bought from Michael's for all of my kids. Or maybe I'll do them one at a time because I'm not a crafty mom. But it's important that we connect. Yes, and to know that I'm being distracted sometimes, and that's okay too. Yes, very true, Angie. Difference between distraction and soothing, like present with your family. The last one, number 5, is restore. So what are the things you're going to do to restore your soul? What refreshes you? One of those things needs to be sleep. You need to have a sleep goal. And this is hard. I get it. Because my kids stay up later over the holidays, then I want to stay up later with my husband, and then I have to get up early because that's my commitment, and I haven't been getting up early, and now I'm trying to, and I'm not getting enough sleep. Naps are good. So one needs to be a sleep goal. But also, what are the other things that you need to plan in your time that restore your soul? Is it quiet time, or once a week popping up to the chapel or the church? Is it taking a walk by yourself? Is it a shower? Like that to me is like heaven, taking a long hot shower with no kids coming in bothering me. You know, taking a nap. What are the things that will help you that you can plan into like your toolbox that will restore you, like give you that refreshment, that break? Like to say to your husband, I need to have 20 minutes on Wednesday evening, please, to go up to church and just sit in the quiet, or to take a walk when you get home. Can I go? Or if that's your run time. I mean, I enjoyed running my 5K Saturday with my playlist, and it was amazing. Not as much as I liked, what's her name, training you. It was really nice to not have her talk to me and just listen to whatever and just get out of the house, you know, and be outside. But you need to have a plan of the things that are restoring you, because you are going to have times where you're overwhelmed. You're going to have times where you feel like, I didn't do any of my sacramental pauses, and I didn't do any, and I ate 3 pies today, and I didn't work out for a week, and I'm totally screwing up this pondering in the morning thing. And then you get to say, what am I going to go do? I'm going to go take a 15-minute hot shower and reset and just restore myself. Or I'm going to go to bed really early one night because I'm tired. Or I'm going to let myself take a nap. Grace is there, yeah, in all of the mess. I feel like the restoring is probably the most important. It's like our emergency checklist, because being realistic, like, we're not going to always feel, you're not going to do all these things perfect, and that's good. Like, someone shared about how, like, the more challenged we are, the more we rely on God in the season. But I just want you to have some tools and some plans so that you're not blindly walking through the month in just reactive mode, you know? Let's see. I think that's all I have. So does anybody have any questions about anything? Like questions about this or questions about anything? Because we are here to help. I think this was helpful. It seemed that way with everybody. And I'll tell you, like, my favorite quote that I keep hanging above my kitchen table, but I actually took it down because I bought one for Christmas that says peace on earth, is grace, live by grace, not perfection. Like, I even put it on a tank one year for our team, because it's like, it's an important reminder. Like, we are not supposed to do this all perfectly, but it does matter for you to have a plan, you know? So I would fill this out and put it like in your journal, or put it where you see it. Like, don't fill it out and let it get buried underneath mail, you know? But it's not just your workouts. It's not just your nutrition. It's your mind and your heart and your body resting. That all matters. Anybody want to add anything?
No, I wanted to say that I really appreciate this, because having the intention to start this season this way with a plan that we can wake up and go, I can put an alarm on my phone that says light your candle. Mm-hmm. And then I can put an alarm on my phone that says go sit down and rest, go take a nap, or go sit with your kids and read the books, or whatever. Like, I'm good with my nap time, because that's my time with my littlest kids, to make sure I read a book to them every day. That's one of the reasons I have a nap. And so I've set that like habit up in my life, but that one I've got. But there are other ones that I miss. And with me being so low energy right now, getting up and praying has been very challenging. So I have to set that. I have to be very intentional about that stuff. But I think these seasons, with how hard COVID can be, how hard this quarantine has been, and how everything is still so up in the air and there's so little contact, I think it's so important to have this plan in place to take the best care of ourselves, because I think that it's so easy to take care of everyone else and not give ourselves that grace to take care of ourselves, to give ourselves the time to be prayerful and thoughtful and considerate, not to everybody else only, but also to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And treat ourselves like God would want us to be treated. Mm-hmm. Not constantly saying you're not doing enough, but instead you have that extra time, and here's a plan, and try to do these things. And not to make this plan for perfection so that we feel bad about it, but to make a plan so that we have an idea of, oh, I messed up. Where do I start now?
Yep.
I can start over right now. Where do I start?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like the alarms is really helpful. I have my alarms go off all day long. My kids are like, how many alarms do you have on your phone? I'm like, well, it kind of keeps me on track. But the other thing
is, if you want lunch, you need an alarm. Otherwise, you're not going to eat, and it's going to be 3:00, and everybody's going to be cranky, and we're going to wonder why everybody's so cranky.
Yep. No, and it's so true. And Emily, yes, like figure out like what works. You know what I mean? Like it's not a daily, you know. So for me, for a season, like my littlest guy was getting up at like 4 a.m. And so like we got him settled, and like later in the morning I had my prayer time, but I still got up and said my prayer that morning before I went to get him of, Lord, help me to be. And maybe I could light a candle as I'm taking care of him to remind me that later I'm going to sit and like think, you know what I mean? You can rearrange the order, but I do think it's good to take time to plan these things and do the best you can when you can, because our seasons change, right? Like we have seasons where they work and seasons where they don't, and that's okay. But when we're doing the best we can, God multiplies our little, and he really does make it enough. There was in the devotional I'm reading today, Essential Holiness, there's a quote from St. Francis de Sales' book, The Devout Life. And in it, he talks about how we're supposed to live our life as if we're walking, holding the Father's hand, and we only have one hand. And with the one hand, we can collect things that are good, but we don't let go of him, because if we let go of him, we'll fall down. And like, as we're collecting, every once in a while, you glance back to the Father and see if what you're doing is like what he wants you to be doing, you know? But I love that analogy, because my one memory of my dad that I love, there's two actually, but my favorite is my dad's 6'5", so he's a very large man. And as a kid, he would want me to hold his hand because we would take walks, and I couldn't hold his hand because my hand was like the size of the palm of his hand. So I'd hold his thumb, and we would walk and I would hold his thumb, and then he would put me up on his shoulders, which I felt like I was the king of the world on top of a 6'5" man's shoulders. But I think of God the Father, and I think of me as a little kid holding his thumb, walking, holding his thumb, and that he's telling me what to do. And if I'm that little kid, I'm not going to be hard on myself if I screw up. Little kids bounce back. I mean, I think of my 5-year-old Xavier. He bounces all the time. You know, sorry, mom, sorry, mom, sorry, mom. And I'm like, oh, and God is way more patient than I am. So definitely just to do the best you can, you know. But I appreciate you guys taking the time and being here. I would love for you guys to fill this out and share it in your groups, you know, and for those listening to the recording, to take the time to fill it out. Before you even set goals for December, do this, you know what I mean? And then you can set goals, like, but this is more of intentions and tools that you can use. And we'll revisit some of this in the new year, but it'll be different because thankfully it's not quite as busy. But I just know that I was feeling so behind yesterday, and I hate that feeling, because Advent is about slowing down when the world's speeding up, you know. And so finding ways for you to slow down during your day is a good thing. And if you want to get up, I've been getting up early again. So on the Zoom link, I was actually up at 6 a.m. this morning. I'm like, I'm doing it. You know, and join us. Like, I lit a candle and I read and I wrote out some of the devotion for this week, and just prayed, and it was really good, you know. And then later, while I was washing dishes, I listened to a podcast, and then, you know what I mean, you just sprinkle it in throughout your day. That's okay. That's good too, Sarah. But yeah, goals to pause is important. I loved that book for that. That's the one big takeaway I got from that book, was the power of just pausing to pay attention to like what's going on around you during your day. And yeah, Stephanie Weiner she has lots of great tips and things. I love following her, but she talked about, wasn't it pausing to have tea? Yeah. So, all right, you guys, let me pray, and then I'll let you guys hop off unless anybody has any other questions. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for just being such a good and loving Father. As we head into Advent, Lord, and we walk these days as we get closer to Christmas, I just ask that you would help us to slow down and to take the time to spend time with you. Help us to invite you into our fitness and our nutrition and in our mindset and in our homes. Help us to invite you into how we parent and how we love our spouse. Help us to invite you more into all the things we do. God, show us what it is you want us to focus on, how you want us to slow down, how you want us to hear you. Speak to our hearts, Lord, and help us live as you have called us to live, to be free from the negative feelings we have about ourselves, free from shame, free from unforgiveness, free from just any lies we believe about ourselves. Lord, help every step of our wellness journey, with our workouts and our nutrition, with our community online, with our times we pause with those we love, with our prayer time. Let all of this, God, be used to help us have confidence in you, who love us, to really walk as a child of God, knowing that we're loved by you. I just pray for that freedom for every person in our challenge groups, on our team, and those that will be joining us this month, Lord. We thank you so much, Father, for your love. We thank you so much for your beautiful Son, Jesus, for this season of Advent that teaches us to wait in hope. And God, we just ask that you would bless our little and multiply it to make it enough. In your most holy name we pray. Amen. All right, you guys. Oh, picture. Sorry, I forgot. All right. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Have an awesome night.